It's Monday, June 29th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The COVID-19 pandemic may have permanently clipped the wings of Liat 1974 Limited. According to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, the regional airline owes staff approximately $94 million in severance and holiday payments, and it is unable to pay. The Vincentian Prime Minister, who chaired a meeting with shareholder governments over the weekend, said he received a report from the Board of Directors and management about the island hopper's critical financial situation, and indications are the airline, for which Barbados is a majority shareholder, is en route to liquidation.
I got a recommendation from the Board of Directors, and particularly in the issue concerning winding up our liquidation, and the taking the decision for a general meeting of all the ordinary shareholders of the company to consider a resolution for the winding up the solution of the company. Now, the truth is this: Liat was having problems before 2017, as we all know. But the hurricanes in 2017 put Liat in a tailspin. And into 2018, in 2019, it lost about 14 million EC dollars. Well, that was recovery of sorts from the hole in 2017 and 2018. And then COVID hit in 2020. And over the period with COVID, we have lost about $35 million.
The Prime Minister, who was speaking on local radio, revealed that he also received from the airline's management their salaries for May, June, July, and overdue payroll liabilities. He said even though the carrier laid off about 500 workers, it kept a staff of about 168 across the network, coupled with maintenance of the aircraft, insurance, repatriation for staff, and health and insurance coverage, as well as rental of office equipment and utilities.
That number comes up to about 10.8 million EC dollars. And then you have about the paid bookings as at May 2020. Liat had paid bookings of $4.3 million outstanding as US dollars. That's over $10 million. Now, those are things which the liquidator will have to deal with. But severance payment in total for all the workers as per the existing collective agreements, which is not necessarily what the law of Antigua will specify, but I'm talking the law of Antigua in relation to insolvency. Number may be small, but if you're dealing with just the existing collective agreements, you're looking at $83.9 million in severance payment. And for the people who have vacation pay, and for all the countries, it's another $10 million in vacation pay. So you're talking about 93.9, call it $94 million. Now, of course, Liat is insolvent, so Liat doesn't have any assets to pay anybody anything.
Meantime, also speaking on local radio, this time in Antigua, Prime Minister Gaston Brown said a general meeting of Liat shareholders would be convened shortly to discuss the issue and the possible formation of a new entity. We get more in this report from Anderson Liebert of ABS News.
Decision will have to be made, potentially to collapse it, and to then maybe the countries within the region have to come together to form a new entity, because I cannot see the region going without any form of connectivity. We can't have an integration movement and then we can't connect people.
He says if a new entity is created, he hopes the name Liat will be maintained and headquarters remain in Antigua and Barbuda.
I hope that these individuals who may have certain urges and aspirations to fight Antigua and Barbuda for the headquarters of a new entity, that they will understand that that is an extremely inequitable position, which Antigua and Barbuda would resist.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister says the formation of a new entity should be done as soon as possible.
Back in Barbados, the National Insurance Department has paid out over $52 million in unemployment claims due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister PM Mottley gave the update as she addressed the virtual GEM Awards celebration of the 53rd anniversary of the National Insurance Scheme over the weekend. The Prime Minister revealed that in just 12 weeks, that is, to June 19th, the department received 50,196 termination certificates, which converted to approximately 35,000 unemployment benefit claims. She said in recent months, the department endured the greatest test in its existence, and some of the funds it handles were currently under pressure. The Barbados Association of Journalists and Media Workers is not at all happy about the manner in which media professionals were treated while on the job at the precincts of one of the Silence Magistrates Court last Saturday. And BAJAM President Emmanuel Joseph has requested a meeting with the top brass of the Royal Barbados Police Force to discuss the matter and other issues.
The Barbados Association of Journalists and Media Workers condemns the treatment meted out to media professionals on Saturday, June the 27th, while attempting to cover the court appearance of the man charged with the murder of news photographer Christophe Griffith and contractor Glenroy James. BAJAM is deeply concerned that the reporters and photographers who went to the District A Magistrates Court precincts to execute their duties as they traditionally do, were barred from entering the courtyard by police. Now, it is equally disturbing to learn from the media workers affected that the instructions came from on high. BAJAM notes that even though the media professionals were eventually allowed beyond the barriers and into the courtroom, that happened after certain calls were made to a police public relations official by a senior journalist complaining about the situation. The association has since reached out to the police public relations, seeking to follow up with the Commissioner of Police to shed light on the situation and to find common ground.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, after weeks of lockdown due to the COVID-19 virus, family and friends of inmates at Her Majesty's Prison in Antigua and Barbuda will be allowed to visit their loved ones from today. In this report from ABS News, we hear about the protocols put in place to facilitate the visits.
Before the loved one enter the main gate, their temperature will be taken. Once the temperature is normal, then the person will be allowed to enter the compound.
One of the steps to be taken to ensure inmates are safe when visits resume on Monday. The prison superintendent says guests will have to go through other processes before seeing a prisoner.
They will be directed to a hand washing station. They will wash their hands, dry their hands, and they will be directed to what we call the visitors' room.
He says inmates will enter the visitors' lounge from a different entrance to ensure there's no crossing of paths. A plexiglass will also be between inmates and visitors, and each area will be cleaned after a visit. Phillips says visitors should be cooperative.
You must wear your mask and your temperature will be taken.
Visits will be scheduled as was previously done, and visitors are not yet allowed to bring food to the prison.
And finally, the death toll from COVID-19 surpassed 500,000 worldwide, according to Johns Hopkins University. The university said since the virus emerged in China late last year, there have been more than 10 million cases. Half of those, it said, have been in the US and Europe. However, there are concerns about the rapid spread of the coronavirus in the Americas. That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.